Tim Walz is actually so extreme on abortion that Nancy Pelosi once told him he needs to, quote, tone it down to be more moderate. And this isn't insider information like, oh, it was alleged that Nancy said this. No. Tim Walz told us this himself.
And my record is so pro-choice, Nancy Pelosi asked me if I should tone it down. I stand with Planned Parenthood, and we won.
And beyond just these comments, Tim Walz also signed into law what he had called the Protect Reproductive Options Act. And the conservative pushback to this bill is that it allows abortion up until the moment of birth. So I don't want to just give you the talking points. I pulled the bill up. So here it is. I want to read it almost in full. It's really, really short, but I think it's important that we read primary sources and we don't dull ourselves to that. I hope my audience knows I want to give you the most up-to-date, accurate, honest information, and this is it. This is the bill. So this says, short title, this section may be cited as the Protect Reproductive Options Act, and it says for purposes of this section, reproductive health care means health care offered or furnished for the purpose of preventing pregnancy, terminating a pregnancy, managing pregnancy loss, or improving maternal health and birth outcomes. Reproductive health care includes, but is not limited to, contraception, sterilization, preconception care, maternity care, abortion care, family planning and fertility services, and counseling regarding reproductive health. Okay. It then goes on to say reproductive freedom. Every individual has a fundamental right to make autonomous decisions about the individual's own reproductive freedom, including the fundamental right to use or refuse reproductive health care. I will just say as an aside, you don't have a fundamental right to do that, but there's no one in the Constitution that says that, but this bill is creating that right, okay? It goes on to say every individual who becomes pregnant has a fundamental right, now under this bill, to continue the pregnancy and give birth or obtain an abortion, and to make autonomous decisions about how to exercise this fundamental right. It then also goes on to say the Minnesota Constitution establishes the principles of individual liberty, personal privacy, and equality. Such principles ensure the fundamental right to reproductive freedom. It then goes on to say local unit of government limitation. A local unit of government may not regulate an individual's ability to freely exercise these fundamental rights. So I do have a caveat just for my audience. I want to be very upfront. I don't like talking about abortion. Like it's probably one of my least favorite issues to talk about. We all have issues we like to talk about. They galvanize us. They make us passionate. Like, I get why people are passionate about this. I'm not saying it's a bad issue. I'm just personally not passionate about this, which makes me believe I'm actually a better journalist and can talk about this issue objectively and see both sides of the argument. So the truth is, the law does not explicitly say you can have an abortion up until birth, but because it does state that the state cannot infringe on a woman's right to an abortion, it's essentially saying that the state cannot put limitations on when an abortion can happen. So the language was purposefully vague for moments like this, but I'm just going to let Tim Walz be the voice of his own abortion position, and that's that it's too radical, even for Nancy Pelosi. And you saw the bill. It does not allow the state to intervene on behalf of a woman's abortion at any time, meaning, yes, I guess you could run to the conclusion that post-birth abortions would be logical and okay under this legislation.